Yeah, we back with another reaction. What? What? And it's a good one too. Trap Lord Ross. His content be fine. Y'all be fucking with it. I be fucking with it. So if we fuck with it together, we might as well drop a video. You feel me? But anyway, happy Christmas Eve to everybody, to all the children. I'll probably, you feel me? It's 24th. I'm gonna drop this tomorrow on Christmas. So Merry Christmas to y'all. Hoping y'all get y'all gifts y'all wanted. Yeah, bro. Cause when you get like me, when you get my age, bro, tomorrow is just another Monday. Promise you, bro. Tomorrow is a regular Monday. But anyway, Merry Christmas, y'all. Happy holidays. Let's hop straight into it.
Video is for educational, informational, and documentary purposes only, and it's not intending to glorify, incite, or encourage illegal behavior in any way. Everything in this video has been taken from publicly available sources, and any footage used is covered. Ever since gangster rap first emerged...
My headphones not even on. Oopsie. Headphones not on. I bet.
From Los Angeles in the 1980s, fans have been obsessed with the gangsters behind the music, questioning whether the man holding the microphone is a real gangster like they say in their raps, or just an actor playing the role of gangster. When Tupac Shakur made the transition from dancer to gangster rapper, many people questioned the authenticity of his lyrics about the streets. However, his infamous manager Suge Knight, a member of the Blood Gang, was undeniably a fearsome gangster with a reputation for violence. A decade after the murder of Tupac, the world would be introduced to gangster rap 2.0 in the form of 50 Cent, the street hustler turned rapper who survived an assassination attempt where he was shot 9 times. 50 Cent's gangster was unquestionable, and his backstory, combined with top-tier lyricism on the mic, made him one of the most successful rappers in the history of the genre. 10 years later, the world would be introduced to gangster rap 3.0 in the form of Chief Keef. This 16-year-old affiliate of Chicago street gang the Black Disciples would shock the rap world with songs and music videos that gave fans a window into the life of a teenage Chicago gangbanger, surrounded by goons and guns, living in a place where ordering a hit is as easy as ordering a coffee, and where many people don't stand a chance of making it to age 18. Ever since Chief Keef emerged, the genre of Chicago drill music has been characterized by booming beats combined with gritty lyrics telling real stories from the streets. But what sets Chicago drill music...
Hey, you know what's crazy? More than half of these individuals are not here. That's fucking insane. More than half of all these people that's finna be shown, gone, smoked, RIP.
Apart from much of the gangster rap that came before it is the frequent use of lyrics to discuss real-life crimes and murders, often even referencing the victims directly by name. Whether it's the frequent dissing of a 15-year-old gangster disciple by the name of Tuka who was murdered, to more recently, fellow Black Disciple rapper King Von, who as well as being rumored to have played a role in as many as 7 Chicago murders, would eerily make a rap song and music video depicting himself murdering longtime rival FBG Duck only months before the real-life murder of Duck would play out on the streets of Chicago, with it even being rumored that Von himself had placed the $100,000 bounty on Duck's head that got him killed. For the past few years, King Von has become a prime example of a gangster rapper who really lived what he rapped about, with his buzzing rap career seemingly being boosted dramatically by his reputation as a real killer who did dirt in the streets and got away with it. However, since King Von was killed in a fight outside of a nightclub in November 2020, Chicago drill fans have been desperately looking for the next big thing, the next drill rapper who really did all the things they...
Hey, Savage, and did I know him, and is he really like what we heard? And to say the least, a lot of gangster happened, a lot of real street shit going on, but he beat 2 murders. He beat Cess and Neef right up, beat him right up. He definitely who y'all think he is, and he want me to let y'all know that. Like, this ain't none of me talking out of turn. Folks really him, I ain't gonna lie to you. He really the first Von. He just never did the rapping and all of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the fans like the rappers who rap what they really live. If y'all wanna go listen to it who really live what they rap, go listen to Tay Savage.
Much like King Von, Tay Savage made a name for himself as a gangster long before he started making a name for himself as a rapper. he would actually be accused of being the triggerman in 2 back-to-back murders of a man and woman named Cess and Neef that took place in 2011, allegedly revenge for a close friend of his named Welch that had allegedly been set up and killed by the deceased duo. Tay's involvement in these murders appears to be one of the worst-kept secrets in Chicago drill history. And yet, with the streets knowing exactly what he had done, Tay Savage would end up spectacularly beating both murder charges at a trial, beating the state so bad.
He beat that motherfucker in trial. He said took that bitch to trial.
As a result, Chicago drill history. And yet, with the streets knowing exactly what he had done, Tay Savage would end up spectacularly beating both murder charges at a trial, beating the state so bad that as a result, they would come down on Tay extra hard for an armed robbery charge, which even despite efforts to take out the witnesses, resulted in Tay getting slapped with a monster sentence of 20 years in jail. However, he would end up serving just under 10 years of this sentence before being released on parole. And much like Von, upon his release, Tay would seize the opportunity, quickly becoming Chicago's most buzzing rapper, racking up millions of spins with stories all about his life as a Chicago gang member who beats murders like they're nothing. So today, let's take a closer look at Tay Savage, the murders, the music, and the man who everybody says is the realest gangster rapper to emerge from Chicago drill since King Von.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all call him Tay Sav, bro.
I called him John Wick.
I call him John Wick.
To your
Do a
homeboy.
lot. I'm shot, stabbed, locked up for murders. Easy. All for murders.
You beat a couple of murders.
But he beat 2 murders.
Beat murders.
So how long did you actually do in jail, like,
I did
consecutively?
8 years and 9 months.
Locked up for attempts.
Then I had some attempts before that. I had 2 attempts I beat. I did 18 months on that.
Armed robberies.
But then you actually ended up getting locked up for like 9-10 years off a robbery, right?
Yeah. You know, I was fighting two separate murders and a carjack.
He beat Cess and Neef right up, beat him right up.
Beat with the Cess, her daughter a rapper,
The situation with him allegedly killing Blazing Dog Mama.
and you had reposted her music.
Yeah, I just want to support her. That's the least I could do.
I know he killed that
The
girl.
least I can do, he did it. He did it. What you doing it for? He did it.
Mama. He shot at me. It hit different.
I beat those murders, you know what I'm saying? And that's a blessing. All for murders.
I seen somebody and I couldn't visualize their face.
But whoever did it had a mask on, you feel me? Whoever smoked out had a mask on. Some of them were saying that I did. They said my name, pointing me out in lineups.
I know it's you, Tay. Do some John Wick, Sean.
See, I would have beat that. I would have beat that.
If y'all want to go listen to who really live what they rap, go listen to Tay Savage.
Only reason I say he is savage is because of what I seen with my own eyes.
You can't believe nothing he say. Nothing.
It different if I see it with my own eyes.
The story of Tay Savage and Welch World takes place in an infamous part of Chicago's South Side known as the Low End. The Low End is a name that Chicago locals use for the neighborhoods that are roughly located in and around the Bronzeville district. This is an area that, unlike most of the famous hoods of Chicago, like O Block, Lamron, Tuckerville, or Jarrow City, exists on the north side of what
Tuckerville? Please, no. They did not name a ville after this nigga Tuka.
Washington Park, and is located much closer to downtown Chicago. The name the Low End is derived from both the location in the lower numbered streets of the South Side and the neighborhood's lowly status. This lowly status was true particularly in the past when Bronzeville and the surrounding area were home to some of Chicago's and America's largest social housing projects, such as the Ida B. Wells Homes, Harold L. Ikes Homes, Stateway Gardens, and Robert Taylor Homes, which was the largest public housing project in the United States. Many of these projects were built along the State Street, forming the so-called State Street Corridor, a huge aggregation of enormous social housing projects, which included the Harold L. Ikes Homes, Robert Taylor Homes, Dearborn Homes, Stateway Gardens, and Hillard Homes. These projects were enormous and ridden with
Niggas was getting clapped in 1880? What the fuck? What the hell? What the hell started going on in 1930 at fucking 550? Then fucking 1975, damn near at 1,000. Then it calmed down. Niggas probably got locked up. 70s to the 90s, This was active.
Crushing poverty, crime, and violence that reached their peak during the 80s and 90s, when these areas...
Whoa. Whoa. Told you, let's peep. 70. But who the fuck is getting smoked in 1974? What?
were often referred to in the media as full-blown war zones, where gangs were large and well organized, with some even having snipers on the roof to keep rival gangs and the police at bay. But in order to understand how the low end came to be so dangerous, we need to go even further into the past, to a lesser known period when the area and its citizens were actually thriving. In the early 1900s, as a series of oppressive and discriminatory laws were emerging in numerous southern states, known today as the Jim Crow laws, these laws were meant to marginalize black citizens by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, or get an education. In response to this discrimination, a significant number of African Americans chose to relocate their families to the northern states in pursuit of a better life and improved opportunities in what became recognized as the Great Migration. In Chicago, many of these African Americans settled in and around what is now known as Bronzeville, but at the time it became known as the Black Belt, partly due to its belt-like shape. Particularly later, it was also known by the more flattering name, the Black Metropolis, which more appropriately reflected the neighborhood's character at the time, with it becoming known for its lively streets, with many shops, enterprises, medical facilities, and educational institutions managed by African Americans. It also became renowned as a hub for music, particularly in place, example, already the majority of riots and massacres quickly growing black population were taking over the veterans' former factory jobs. This was a time of high racial tension.
We have, you know what I'm saying, they made our those guys move up out of there, man. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, my grandmother got lucky to get an apartment down there. Now, the rent down there like $1,500 and up now, you know what I'm saying? Used to be the Jets, but now they rehab. That's what they trying to do to up and down state, man. You know what I'm saying? They tearing down, putting condos. Now, like Chinese places deliver down there, they get pieces delivered. We can't get it delivered right here. This is across the street. Look how close that is.
Oh, so you said the pizza men don't even come here?
None of that. We don't get it, but they come right across the street though because they rehab. You know what I'm saying?
So they deliver there, but they won't deliver over here.
Nah, they ain't gonna deliver over here because, like I said, they rehab those. There used to be.
Hey, but why you think they won't deliver over here though?
That's dangerous.
You already know, cause my getting down on there, taking pieces and running, all that shit, all that shit.
And some have even suggested that the gentrification in the low end is actually an example of things being done right, with a large number of the new higher income residents still being African Americans, who actually grew up in neighborhoods like Bronzeville and are now interested in bringing back its historic charm from the time when it was known as the Black Metropolis. There are apparently also a high number of vacant lots in the area that are ready.
No history lesson. I'm trying to listen to some Tay Savage.
Tay Savage, real name Dwayne Timberlake, spent his first years with his grandmother in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood around the streets of 76th and Racine. This is located in the far south side of Chicago.
I'm from Welchville, you know, I'm originally from 76th and Racine, Rock Island, feel me? That's where I really was born. My grandmother stayed like they from 76th and Racine, and my granddaddy and them was like on the low end. That's how I came to Welchville or whatever, but I go back all summer, be with them all summer, whatever. Or, you know what I'm saying? I ain't any break, I go kick it. Well, she really raised me, to be honest. My grandma, well, she, you know, when I was little, baby, whatever, I really stayed with her most of the time. But
a territory of a gang known as Rock Island, who are made up of mostly conservative vice lords. Now, conservative vice lords are an interesting gang with a rich history. Considered to be the oldest faction of the almighty vice lord nation, the vice lords formed in 1957 when several African American youths moved from Mississippi to Chicago, coming together while incarcerated and recruiting others to join their gang, and ultimately engaging in conflicts with other gangs or clubs in different Chicago neighborhoods. The conservative vice lords were started around 1958 by the 7 original founding members of the vice lords. The conservative vice lords were essentially intending to soften the image of the overall almighty vice lord nation gang. The conservative vice lords styled themselves as more of a community outreach group, legitimizing their activities through Conservative Vice Lord Incorporated, often being referred to at these times as the socially conscious street gang.
The guys over here in the vice lords, the people over here in the Lawndale area want their piece of the pie. And they wanted to do their homework, like I said again, to get it.
The conservative vice lords came as a result of some older vice lords realizing that the younger vice lords were breaking in houses in the community.
Yeah, what's your problem, man?
Committing a lot of crimes, and they were getting violent, and it was like violence on peoples in the community. And so they wanted to shut that down.
It's really just black on black crime. Keep it a bean.
Murder, and over the decades that followed, many fragmented vice lord factions would form in neighborhoods all over Chicago, with the heavily armed young members bringing violence to their neighborhoods, even telling the news in the 90s that they're ready to kill anyone who comes into their building.
Meet the vice lords.
We got 50-shot Max, this small. We got Techs. We got 30-30s. We got Uzis.
Just one of the many heavily armed street gangs in Chicago.
Hey, we hunt whoever try to hunt us. That's how it is. The gang survival. Right.
You hunting people.
Right. Anybody who try to come through our building.
One of us go down. They going down too.
One of us go down. Everybody got to go.
This is the kind of environment that a young Tay Savage was growing up in, and despite hailing from the Vice Lord stronghold of Rock Island, apparently Tay would eventually be sent to live with his mother in the suburbs at the outskirts of Chicago, getting momentarily away from the dangerous gang-infested environment of the South Side.
My pops was locked up most of my life, but my OG really was holding it down, you feel me? She had moved out to the burbs, so I really was decent, you know what I'm saying?
What suburbs was you staying in?
I mean, I was all through the burbs, like the north suburbs, like Aurora, all type, all out that way, Aurora, Hoffman Estates, Bartlett, you know what I'm saying? I was all through that. Then I started kind of getting out of hand, you feel me? So she sent me with my granddaddy or whatever. And then, you know, that's kind of, you know what I'm saying? I
became a product of your environment.
Yeah.
But Tay's behavior was getting out of hand, and eventually, after going back and forth from his mother and grandmother, Tay would eventually be sent to live in the low end where his grandfather lived, finding his new stomping grounds in a neighborhood run by a set of gangsters called the So Icy Boys, or Bird Gang, or So Icy Trap Boys. So Icy was made up of members with a heritage in both the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciple street gangs, with many of the smaller gang sets in modern-day Chicago being made up of a variety of people with heritage in different street gangs.
Ain't this the Star of David? I might be tripping. Yeah, them niggas was Jewish gangbanging?
Gangs. As Tay explained himself in a No Jumper interview, this gang didn't care about your original affiliations at all.
So, in terms of, like, break it down for me, because they said when I was reading about your history and stuff that Welsh World contains GDs and BDs.
Yeah, y'all. So, man, we got a mixture. Like, we got a mixture in our hood, you feel me? We got all type of stuff, BD, GD, FO, I don't know, we got all type of stuff. We don't really care about that, to be honest with you. So you ain't gonna never just see us like, oh yeah, we super GDK. Now, Lil Bro and them, they, like, most of them all BDs. Most all, like, Bookie the G and all of them, they mostly all BDs. The guys like my age, it's all a mixture. Like, we don't really care about that. We all 40th, 43rd, So Icy, Welsh World.
The set So Icy likely got their name after Gucci Mane's first hit song with Young Jeezy by the same name, and the members were clearly already big fans of Gucci Mane, with Tay Savage himself being seen in early Facebook videos actually dancing to Gucci Mane's classic anthem, My Kitchen. And it would appear that members of So Icy had aspirations in the rap game too, with So Icy members recording themselves freestyling on the block.
So Icy, we 40 you. Catch us with that camera. 39, we taking over. All them counterfeit, we gangsters in the making, dreaded like Jamaicans. First young actor, not that cushy, be spacing. So you know what we blazing. Ask your girl how it tasting. And Lil Mama said amazing. Told the cush man who she dating. Be kicking it on 40. You know I got that 40. Plus give me in rotation cause the trigger happy shorties. Trap show.
So Icy's main territory was roughly between 40th Street in the north, 43rd in the south, King Drive in the west, and Cottage Grove in the east. And members of So Icy would regularly record themselves walking their strip and holding down their territory, as well as having parties on the block outside.
This bitch, you know you can do this all right.
Right, man, you know how we do it, man. So Icy Trap Boys, muscle in the building.
No, you in this bitch, man. So Icy Trap Boys, stand up, man.
UAB, man, Fly Boys, Huckleberry Fly Boys, Super Boy, got Richie, aka King Star, man. You know what it is, yo. Yeah, the money over there, man. Usually we got the honchos in the pocket, yo.
No, getting money, man. Stop playing.
Before the meteoric rise of Tay Savage as a rapper in 2023, this neighborhood had received relatively little attention from fans of Chicago drill and rap. But it has produced quite a few characters who ended up playing important roles in the rise of the drill movement. One of these people is Chicago rapper Billionaire Black, who was born and raised in the infamous Robert Taylor homes and later started hanging out with the So Icy members.
You was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, am I correct?
My boy, for sure, on the low end, exactly.
To be specific, the low end. Welch World?
I was born in the Robert Taylor's, raised down there, but yeah, I grew up, high school, all that shit, Welch World, yeah. 43rd, stay too late, you know.
Billionaire Black has been rapping for a long time, years before the drill movement exploded onto the mainstream around 2012, with early songs of his more inspired by Atlanta rappers like Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka, which still circulate, having been recorded as early as 2008. Together with some guys from around So Icy's neighborhood, including rappers like Chopper Dagoon and his brother F. Dot.
Chopper Dagoon. I ain't never heard of them. They probably gone to RIP.
They would start a rap group called the Buck 20 Brick Boys, who dropped their first music video in 2009, a track called I Really Lived Dat, where they would tell real stories of the grimy street life in Chicago. While a young Tay Savage wasn't yet rapping at the time, he could still be seen sometimes in the back of music videos and blogs by the Buck 20 Brick Boys. The Buck 20 Brick Boys eventually begun to get a buzz in Chicago around 2010, helped partly by their music videos that already at the time looked relatively professional. This was actually thanks to the brother of F. Dot and Chopper Dagoon, videographer D. Gaines, who would later play a pivotal role in capturing some of the biggest moments in the Chicago drill movement, shooting music videos for many of the biggest rappers and songs in drill history, including many of Chief Keef's biggest songs, such as the video for the breakthrough hits I Don't Like and Love Sosa. He also did the video for Lil Durk's classic drill anthem, L's Anthem, and the song Right Here, which was Durk's first single after getting released from prison in 2012. And he would also record the video for FBG Duck's classic track, Hell Yeah. Buck 20 Brick Boys had connections all over the South Side, and they were linked up with numerous sets and rappers, including FBG Duck, who at the time still went by just Duck, S. Dot from 600, which at the time was still better known as Brick City, and surprisingly, Lil Durk from Lamron, who would later become bitter rivals with some of the members, most famously Billionaire Black, who of course ended up remaining much closer with the Gangsta Disciple rappers from 63rd, like FBG Duck. But before all of that happened, Lil Durk was collaborating with the Buck 20 Brick Boys and shouting them out.
What up, bro? Chillin', man. Shout out to Lou, you know. Shout out to Buck 20.
Besides rappers, one of the key members of So Icy and one of the most important characters in this story was a charismatic young man by the name of Anthony Welsh. He would be seen representing his block in numerous hood vlogs alongside a young Tay Savage.
My Buck 20 Brick Boy, man. Crew entertainment, man. Shout out to my So Icy trap boy, stand up. My trap girls, all my trap hoes, man. My media news, man.
I'll run, that's the only thing y'all got to know, man. I might look like I'm off that, but I ain't off that. That's how I look, man. I'm true cats, man. We out here, man. Where we at, y'all?
Yeah, we have to put on our party on the
would become the best of friends, both running in the streets together, each respectively racking up lengthy arrest records, with Tay receiving various charges from trespassing and reckless conduct to domestic battery and gun possession, while Welch would catch charges that included reckless conduct, trespassing, and manufacturing drugs. Tay and Welch were close and united in the battle to survive the difficult environment of life in the streets of Chicago's low end. The streets would be dangerous, and there would be numerous other gang sets operating in the low end at this time. However, because these sets existed before Chief Keef and other legends of drill music brought the world's attention to Chicago gang culture, and before the gang members would record their every move on social media, there's generally limited information about these sets available today. Based on some of the social media activity by the So Icy members that did exist at the time, they were closely associated with a handful of other nearby sets. So Icy affiliates such as the Beam Team from around 39th Street, which would later become known as OBN or Oak Boy Nation, named after the Oakwood Shores Apartments, which is also the hood of the early female drill pioneer Katie Got Bands. So Icy were also close with 4624 Hit Squad or 46 Terror from around 40.
Bro, these niggas really had shirts made. Repping they shit. 4624 Hit Squad. Something bitch.
6th Street, which would later become known as
different
THF
colours and
46 or
styles.
the
They
Trigger
selling
Happy
merch.
Family. This is a set that has deep ties to famous sets like O-Block and Lamron, with one of THF 46's most famous members, Bezu, being a close friend of both Lil Durk and Von. There was also a small set in alliance with So Icy called 5th Ward, which would later allegedly connect with THF 46. But there were also many other sets from around the low end that at least some So Icy members didn't get along with, such as the Rock Boys or Rock Nation that originated in the Ike's projects, where they can still be seen hanging in this video clip from 2008, not long before the demolition of the last of the project buildings. Later, the Rock Boys would eventually begin operating around the Dearborn Homes public housing projects, and interestingly, the Rock Boys were seemingly connected with O-Block, the Black Disciple gang based in the infamous Parkway Gardens housing project, which was known in the streets at the time as Wick City. The name O-Block comes from a famous resident of Parkway.
O.D. Perry, I heard of him. O.D. Perry was a 20-year-old member of the Wick and BD. Shot outside the Parkway Gardens homes on 64th and King Drive. I swear, any street named King, dangerous. O.D. was hit in the neck and died shortly after. O.D. was a beloved member. They took on the famous name O-Block in his honor. Oh shit. Okay, he a legend.
Gardens that was gunned down by the name of O.D. Perry. A member of the Rock Boys would even make a post on Facebook in 2020 suggesting that he was actually present when O.D. Perry was murdered in 2011. It's never been definitively proven who actually killed O.D. Perry and so-called created O-Block. What we do know, however, is that So Icy and the Rock Boys absolutely hated each other. In an old photo of Welch, he appears to be disrespecting the Rock Boys by showing their Jay-Z inspired Rockefeller hand sign upside down. Another set known to beef with So Icy is Lake Park, which would later become known as Suwoo or TTB from around the Lake Park Avenue near the shores of Lake Michigan. They were seemingly also beefing with So Icy and would later become associated with the murder of one of their most beloved members. Lake Park members could also be seen dissing Welch by throwing down a W hand sign. Lawless is another low-end set that has beef with So Icy.
Bro, this nigga done named at least 30 hoods. I swear to you, bro. I thought it was a lot of hoods in LA. Nigga, yeah, LA, it's a lot. It's a lot of them niggas out there. But Chicago, bruh, I swear each corner a different hood.
The set is named after the Lawless Gardens housing project, which sounds intimidating, but these projects are actually named after another distinguished black Southsider, internationally renowned black dermatologist and self-made millionaire Theodore K. Lawless. The Lawless set were also known at the time as Jamar World, named after their member Jamar Moore, who was killed in 2010. Now, Tado from Chief Keef's Glow Gang hailed from Lawless and can actually be seen here in front of a tribute to Jamar, and this affiliation would later lead to tension between Tay Savage and Tado. Also, infamous gang set 051 Young Money from the southern end of Bronzeville would also get into a heavy beef with So Icy and Welch World, and one of their most known rappers, Lil Mark, would actually diss So Icy in his classic 2011 drill song Zico World, where he alludes to Young Money robbing the chain of Billionaire Black, shooting him, and even smashing his girlfriend before further dissing.
Whoa. Billionaire Black, come get your chain back. You got hit twice in my bro. Fucked your main. So Icy 46 years of drill. A nigga pump faking every day. I'm in the Ville. Shout out to the Al. Shout out to Sue.
So Icy and THF46. Another rival gang set that plays a key role in this story is called the Ave. The Ave is a set that hails from around 37th Street and Indiana Avenue. And sometime later in this beef, people from the Ave, Lawless, and the Rock Boys would all team up and represent together under the name 757. Many of the Ave's members were actually black disciples. And according to some, many of them grew up in the demolished Ida B. Wells Homes and Madden Park Homes projects, both of which had black disciple strongholds. But some of the AV members also came from other projects that had ties to many of the other sets in the low end. In fact, in that 2008 clip of the Rock Boys in the Ike's projects, there's an appearance by one of the most loved members of the AV and one of the key characters in this story, a female gang member called Cess, a nickname that's a shortened version of her real name, Princess. And Cess would appear in a 2008 vlog recorded in the Ike's projects hallways.
Say, Mom, this Cess, man. That's all I'm gonna say. I give a shout out to everybody from 30 motherfucking film, low end motherfucking production, straight like that, my niggas and the Iggies. Yeah, these my niggas, motherfucker. Don't think I flip flop because I'm staying 35th in the Iggies. Yeah, these my niggas, 35th / Iggies, motherfucker. Half the time we going to the party, y'all gonna be for what? Because we getting them up. Stop hating and get your weight up, motherfucker. But sure, I'm the only female first lady in all this. And ain't nobody gonna take the top of my mother. that. Straight like that, but ain't straight like that, it's straight wrong. Bring y'all hoes? No. We got goons on deck for sure. Play with me, get hit in your nose. I keep that bread for sure.
After leaving the Ikes, Cess would move to the Ave, or what they would call Burr Street, likely named after Gucci Mane's famous ad-lib, Burr, with Cess actually having a daughter who became a rapper, Blazing Dolls, who would later explain her movements as the daughter of a famous female gang.
Blazing Doll mother is Cess. I don't even know who Blazing Doll is for real. I heard of Asian Doll. Let's see. Gotta do my homework. Gotta do my research. Blazing. I can't find it. Oh well.
In her hood.
What it was like growing up with me on the low end. Well, you know, my mama said so. Yeah, she was a real street bitch, so I grew up all in the ghetto in the trenches, like the Ickies and shit.
Real trench.
Then we was on 37 in Indiana, you know. I've been around guns and shit all my life. This shit, like, in me, for real.
What are your memories of your mom like?
I remember, like, when we was younger, we used to live in the Ickies. She used to be, like, a drug dealer.
Going to ride with another Ave member called...
Whoa. Why the fuck she look like that? Whoa, why her eyes look like this? What the fuck?
Neef, real name Christopher Daniels, who can be seen in this hood vlog alongside Cess. Despite the two being opposite sexes, their relationship appeared to be platonic, and Cess was known to have boyfriends and baby daddies while still being out riding and sliding with Neef. In fact, at this time, Cess was already the mother to at least one child, and her daughter would grow up to become a female rapper by the name of Blazing Doll. Like the Buck 20 Brick Boys on the So Icy side, the Ave would also have their aspiring rappers too. In fact, Neef and Cess themselves were seemingly also dabbling in rap, recording numerous songs together. Now it's unclear when the beef between So Icy and the Ave began, or exactly why, but most likely, as is often the case, it's a complex mix of generational beef passed down by the older members, as well as new beefs that developed between individuals from the newer generations of both gang sets. But what can be said with some level of certainty is that the animosity could go back to at least the mid-2000s when a teenager named Stefan was killed. On January the 6th, 2006, the 18-year-old was pronounced dead after being found with a gunshot wound to the chest, and that murder remains unsolved to this day.
Unsolved 17-year-old was murdered on January 6, 2006 in a 400 block of South King. What I tell you? King. Bro, any street that got King, Martin Luther King in it, bro, no, it's a no-go. It's dangerous.
Although Stefan didn't seemingly live in the low end at the time of his death, he was killed around So Icy's neighborhood. And in the first So Icy Buck 20 Brick Boys vlog on D Gaines' YouTube channel from 2009, members of So Icy can be seen shouting out their fallen members, including Stefan.
Yeah, man.
Rest PKD and Stefan, man. You know how we get down, man, over here, man.
Man, rest in peace to the boo doing everything, man. We get money out here, man. Real Ville, I'm telling you, this out here, man. We out here, man. This crazy, man.
According to the online detectives of Chiracology, the Ave, including Neef and another member called Kenny Mack,
wait, that say he got killed by Lil Mark?
The mid-2000s was prey. Although Stefan didn't seemingly live in the low end, 20 Brick Boys vlog on all members of Chiracology.
By Lil Mark? If I'm not mistaken, didn't King Von kill Lil Mark? I think I got my niggas mixed up, but if I'm not mistaken, I think King Von off
the Ave, including Neef and another member called Kenny Mack, may have had something to do with Stefan's death. As the years would go on, more and more rumors of Neef and Cess being involved in deadly violence in the gang war would spread, but so too with the involvement of Tay Savage, who would eventually get so deeply entrenched in the streets, people would begin referring to him as the Bully, and a one-man army who would take out entire gang sets single-handedly. Before we go any further, I just want to remind you guys to support the sponsor of this video, Henson Shaving. The quality of this razor...
Take murder of Welch The murder of Welch.
Tay Savage has a reputation in the streets as a force to be reckoned with in Chicago's gang war, and this is a reputation that he's earned over years of battle in the low-end's complex gang conflicts. Rumors of Tay Savage being a killer on his block go all the way back to 2008, with a notorious and since deleted wiki page focused on Chicago's gang wars, the War in Chirac wiki, containing an early theory on Tay's street activity. According to that wiki page, Tay was rumored to have killed a total of 3 people, being present for 2 other murders and having shot as many as 12 different people. The earliest murder that Tay's name has been associated with was an AV member or affiliate by the name of Kamain. Real name Kamain Fears, he was killed by an unknown assailant in December 2008, shot dead while sitting in a car outside of his home. And while it's tempting to attribute this murder to Tay Savage without evidence, simply based on his reputation as a savage in the streets, however, an alternative theory on who was responsible for this murder actually paints a different picture. Kamain Fears is actually mentioned in a 2016 Intercept article exposing police corruption in Chicago. According to the article, during the 2000s, a CPD sergeant named Ronald Watts was running an extensive criminal racket, where corrupt officers led by him would extort drug dealers and receive payments in exchange for allowing them to conduct their business unscathed, as well as even apparently doing targeted hits on their rivals as favors. Kamain was apparently one of the dealers caught up in this police corruption racket. He at the time ran his dealing operation from the Ida B. Wells homes, which, as mentioned, were the projects where many of the AV members eventually came from. After these projects were shut down, Kamain would move his operation to the AV's neighborhood. But as the projects were now gone, so too were much of Kamain's profits. And according to his girlfriend, this would cause Kamain to refuse to pay tax to the corrupt cop Watts. And he had allegedly threatened to give Watts up to the feds, and then, only a few days after threatening to snitch on the corrupt cop, Kamain himself would be killed by a shooter that would hit him a total of 17 times. And according to
17?
The word on the street,
He had to make sure
himself
he
would
was
be killed
gone.
by a shooter that would hit him a total of 17 times. And according to the word on the streets, this
That
murder was
nigga
the work of
reloaded.
Watts rather than Tay Savage. But like many of the older stories about Chicago murders, with conflicting stories about who might have pulled the trigger, we may never know who really did it. It's unclear where the rumor of Tay being behind this hit comes from, but regardless, he was still known to be heavily involved in the streets around this time, and in the years that followed, things would get extremely hectic on his block. The year 2010 would turn out to be critical in the beef between So Icy and the AV. On the 2nd of April, a man named Jermaine Streeter would end up being shot and killed in the AV's neighborhood. Jermaine was allegedly an older cousin of female AV member Cess and went by the name Maintain. Maintain was a loved member of the AV, and after his death, members would pay tribute to him on social media by posting photos of themselves wearing shirts with his picture, along with text saying, "Things ain't gonna be the same without Maintain, AV crazy." Reddit detectives would later theorize that the murder of Maintain was done by members of So Icy, specifically Tay's close friend Welch, and while the case remains unsolved to this day, what we do know is that in later police reports regarding the murders of Cess and Neef, Maintain's case is listed as a reference, confirming that at least the Chicago police considered that his murder was related to this beef between these two factions. The events following the murder of Maintain are somewhat murky, but what we do know with some certainty is that at some time in May 2010, Tay Savage himself would become a victim of a shooting. On the 14th of May, people close to Tay would post on their social media indicating that Tay had been shot, but fortunately, he would survive. Tay himself would talk about this incident in a Say Cheese interview, saying that the incident happened after they had gotten into an argument with some people on the block.
And this is all, I mean, you're all outside just chilling.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you just weren't paying attention?
He just looked like a menace.
We was outside chilling, some little words broke out, you know what I'm saying? We having words with people, and, you know, one thing led to another, shots rang out, I wound up getting shot.
Then, in the early hours of the next day, Saturday the 15th of May, Tay's friends would post again, wishing him to get well and seemingly threatening the people behind the attack. But what they didn't see coming, however, was later that day, another one of their good friends would become a victim of a shooting as well, and unfortunately, he wouldn't make it. At around 7 p.m. on the night of May the 15th, police would be called to a shooting near East 40th Street and King Drive, and there they would find 2 males who had been shot. One of them would end up surviving with a leg shot, but the other male would be pronounced dead at the scene. It would turn out to be Anthony Welch, who had been shot in the chest and left to die on the grassy patch between the lanes on King Drive, with the scene of the crime even being photographed as detectives combed for evidence as Welch's body lay in the grass. Later that night, a friend of Tay and Welch, who had just been posting about Tay, would post again, sharing her pain of losing a loved one, but also revealing an interesting fact about the actions of Welch leading up to his death. Apparently Welch had wanted to see the friend the day before his murder, but hadn't told her where he was going, which the friend would seemingly only find out after his death, making her wish that he would have let her know what he was doing. Now, this post starts to seemingly make more sense when a few years after the murder, a member of the AV would straight up admit that they killed Welch, even saying that they were the reason that detectives were on the block. Another member would then quote the song Now It's Over by Chief Keef, but with changed lyrics, now indicating that Welch had come to their hood shooting, leading to him getting killed. The same story would be told again a few years later by a newer generation AV member and rapper, Rono, in the song Ballin', where he raps, "Burr Street, that's a danger zone, so be cautious. I remember Welch tried to shoot and run, and Fonum hawked him." Stories like this would lead to a rumour that Welch had actually gone to the AV's hood looking to avenge the shooting of Tay the day before, but unfortunately when he was there, members of the AV spotted him, chasing him and his friend on their way back to So Icy's hood, shooting them both on the spot and killing Welch. But even more interesting, allegedly the people that went after Welch were none other than the AV's Cess and Neef, with Cess acting as a driver and Neef as the gunman. Now, this theory was seemingly confirmed by one witness statement to the police, claiming to have identified Cess as being the driver in the Welch hit. Even Tay himself would later talk about these events during one of his interrogations with Chicago police, saying to the cops outright that Cess being the driver on the Welch hit was indeed one of the theories. But Tay was not present for the shooting of his best friend, as he would still be stuck in hospital, clueless that his friend Welch had lost his life. And this would be reflected in social media posts between the friends of Tay and Welch a few days after Welch's death, where they would discuss whether or not to even tell Tay about the tragic news of Welch's murder, with one of the friends urging the friend visiting Tay to tell the man the truth, while another urges to keep telling him that Welch is at her place, saying that Tay can't handle losing Welch at this tough moment. In his Say Cheese interview, Tay would recall the events, saying that it was eventually Welch's uncle who would break the tragic news to him.
Now, I seen in the other interview you said that they didn't tell you until like days later.
Yeah.
You were still in the hospital when they told you?
Yeah. I was in the hospital in critical. So they ain't want to just, you know what I'm saying? Tell me, so yeah. They waited till I got a little better than they told me.
And who told you?
Like Welch uncle. Welch uncle told me, like he the one who broke the news, like, you know what I'm saying?
That nigga still heard it.
He told me.
Soon after Welch's death, other members of So Icy and friends of Welch would also begin to comment on his death on social media, some saying RIP and others vowing to get revenge and pledging to kill the whole projects belonging to those who were responsible. 2 years later, describing Welch World as America's worst nightmare. They would also make numerous photo tributes to him, and even posted a tribute video to Welch on YouTube, which has since been deleted. A female friend of Welch and Tay would post several messages in the days following Welch's death, saying how she needs Tay to come back home because Welch is not there anymore to look after her for him, and saying how she and Tay's other friends would hold him down through this heavy loss, calling him the realest guy that she has ever met, and saying how she prays others wouldn't have to live through such a loss, and being grateful that Tay had survived his shooting. She would also say that she was talking with Tay on the phone daily, and they were crying and praying together every morning. A friend of Welch would also plead on social media, asking for all of the sets in the low end to come together and stop killing each other, as well as saying how Chicago had changed for the worse since the projects were torn down. About a week after Welch's death, on the 22nd of May, his funeral was held, and he was buried with a gravestone that included a picture of the Washington Nationals cap with the large W logo, which Welch was known to wear, and which in the following years would come to define his set. The name of this set would seemingly change almost immediately following Welch's death, with Welch World practically replacing the existing name So Icy by the end of May 2010, as members would agree that they were now known as Welch World. In June, one member would post on his social media telling Tay to get in contact with him and insinuating that Tay was going through a lot due to Welch's death. But it's unclear if Tay was still in the hospital at this time. At some point though, Tay would get out, and according to himself, he was furious about the death of his best friend.
And what was that? I mean, was you angry? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, I was angry. Angry. Furious.
And you and Welch were like best friends?
Yeah.
Tay would later explain how this loss triggered something in him, turning him into a true savage.
Like, really, after Welch died, bro, that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, trigger something in the but.
Tay would later respond to comments from 16 Shot 'em that during this time he had the low end walking on eggshells and became a one-man army.
I seen somebody make a post basically saying like, this the man who had the almost like half the low end walking on eggshells, and they called it like a one-man army.
The murder of Welch would seemingly become a defining moment in Tay's life, and after this is when he would really begin to earn his nickname, the Bully.
Let me see. I think I really turned my bully up for real. I always was like, you feel me, like doing my thing, but I really turned my bully up probably like when Welch died. So I really turned my bully up.
It would take less than a year for revenge to play out, but once he had recovered from the shooting, Tay Savage would return to the streets of Welchworld, ready to show the whole city exactly why they would call him Trigger Happy Tay.
Oh shit. It's gonna get good.
After the murder of his close friend Welch, Tay's gang became Welchworld, and Trigger Happy Tay would get out of hospital and onto the warpath with hopes of avenging his fallen brother. He would eventually heal from his shooting, getting out of the hospital and back onto the streets of Chicago in 2010, and he would be seen on his block, surrounded by goons, who referred to him as a Welchworld shooter in this throwback hood vlog.
Man, we gonna hold this bitch down. Shooters right here. Ain't nothing but shooters.
Yeah.
Just trap.
Hey, look. My advice, you man, at the end of the night, try not to get got, man. We out here. We ain't playing with nobody. We're real crazy. I got tatted. We in this bitch. Real crazy. We in this bitch.
You think we playing?
The whole low end, we trying to take over the whole side, man.
All on the rooftop.
Look out for that, man.
Later, in November of 2010, Tay would be back out on the streets, and on the 11th of November, he would be stopped by the police while driving with his friends on the far south side of Chicago. As Tay was asked to get out of the front passenger seat, he would try and flee, and during a scuffle with the police, a handgun would fall from his waist. Tay would continue resisting the arrest, hitting an officer in the eye, but he was eventually taken down. Now, this encounter would actually come up later, once Tay's music career began to blow up, as some Redditors and YouTubers began accusing Tay of snitching, after he had allegedly tried to pin the gun on the driver of the car, saying that the driver of the car had handed the gun to him, with intense debate persisting over whether or not this alleged statement amounted to full-blown snitching. Tay himself would even recall this event during his No Jumper interview, but not mentioning any statements.
What actually went down in the situation where you got caught with it?
So, man, my cousin had called me. You feel me? He like, man, he got into us. So I'm like, all right. They come grab me. Long story short, we go over there, we talk it out, because it was some guys from his block. So they talk it out or whatever, but when we leave, now bro forgot to cut the lights on of the car, so the police pulled us over. So when they pull us over, so I'm telling them like, man, take off, you know, but he didn't really want to take off, but boom. So when they pull us over, they ask for license, all that, so they tell us get out. So they tell us get out. I try to take off, you know what I'm saying? They grab me, slam me, all that. You know, I'm still trying to get away, but it was over with. They locked us up. They locked me up. They looked at my address, but I had like a weird address, so they wouldn't need my address. Cause now I'm waiting. Now I'm like, man, what's going on? So, cause usually it'd be like the next day you would go to the county jail. So now I'm waiting. Oh yeah, the officer raiding your house. I'm raiding my house for what?
While the full facts of this case remain unclear, what it does tell us is that Tay and his friends were riding around Chicago, armed and up to no good. And as 2011 rolled around, Tay would again become entangled with the law, next time much more seriously. In the early morning hours of Saturday the 5th of February 2011, Cess and her sister were out partying with some friends on the south side of Chicago. They had just left a party in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood and were headed to another party on South Shore. But what they probably didn't know was that Gresham was Tay's old stomping grounds that he still frequented. And according to police paperwork, Tay was allegedly riding around with his friend that night when he spotted Cess in her car and decided to follow her. Cess's group arrived at the location of the second party around 2 a.m. and after looking for a parking spot, they eventually parked across the street from Windsor Nursing Home. At around 2:05 a.m., Cess got out of the car ahead of her friends as she apparently had to use the restroom. But as she stepped onto the street, Tay allegedly appeared from behind her friends, running in front of her holding a handgun. Before Cess even had time to react to what was happening, Tay allegedly shot her twice. And according to police paperwork, once she was already laying on the ground, Tay would allegedly stand over her, saying, "I told you, bitch," as he shot her several more times, leaving Cess bleeding out on the street as he next aimed the gun.
Hey. If it's true, Nikki, if it's true, what the hell? We still recording. If it's true, that's some shit. Boom. He peeped game, seen her. Boom, followed her. Boom, she got out. Boom, up piped on her. Boom, stood over her, finished the job. Come on now.
Cess's group arrived at the location of the second party around 2 a.m. and after looking for a parking spot, they eventually parked across the street from Windsor Nursing Home. At around 2:05 a.m., Cess got out of the car ahead of her friends as she apparently had to use the restroom. But as she stepped onto the street, Tay allegedly appeared from behind her friends, running in front of her holding a handgun. Before Cess even had time to react to what was happening, Tay allegedly shot her twice. And according to police paperwork, once she was already laying on the ground, Tay would allegedly stand over her, saying, "I told you, bitch," as he shot her several more times, leaving Cess bleeding out on the street as he next aimed the gun towards her sister and friends who were fleeing the scene in the car. Tay then allegedly shot at the car before fleeing himself on foot. Cess's sister and friends, who had fortunately escaped the scene unscathed, circled the block and then returned to help a wounded Cess, who was then taken to hospital by ambulance. But unfortunately, her injuries were devastating, and at 5:15 a.m., Cess would be pronounced dead. And her murder would be reported the following day by local news, who notified the public that there had been no arrests made so far. However, what we now know is that since the first incident report, Tay would be named as the main suspect. And in the days to come, following the murder of Cess, the police would seemingly find more information about Tay, making him a wanted man. However, for the time being, the cops seemingly didn't have enough evidence to bring charges, and Tay would remain free. Meanwhile, Cess would be laid to rest, and her friends would be left to grieve, leading them to give their hood a new name, Cess World. As far as police were concerned, Tay Savage was the prime suspect in the murder, and as far as the streets were concerned, Tay Savage had taken the first step towards avenging the murder of his friend Welch, with the fact that Tay was believed to be responsible for this brazen assassination circulating widely, with numerous people mentioning in interviews they believed Tay to be the killer of Cess, the mother of rapper Blazing Doll.
The situation with him allegedly killing Blazing Doll mama, I know he killed that girl mama. He shot at me. It hit different.
Tay's reputation as a trigger-happy bully was already cemented in the streets of Welch World, but after the murder of Cess, all eyes were on him. However, what would happen months later would end up making Tay Savage one of the most revered gangsters in Chicago history. Just over 2 months after Cess was murdered, on Sunday the 10th of April, at around 4:30 p.m, her friend she was rumored to have killed Welch with, Neef, real name Christopher Daniels, was driving his car on the 7400 block of South Vincennes Avenue when he stopped at a traffic light. While he was stopped, a man would exit another vehicle in front of Neef before beginning to fire into the car. According to reports by Chicago police, the shooter was Tay Savage. Neef would then attempt to escape the situation by putting his car in reverse, but this would cause him to crash into another vehicle. Meanwhile, Tay would allegedly keep shooting into the car, hitting Neef several times, and then fleeing the scene with his getaway driver. Keep shooting his car in reverse. The shooter was Tay Neef before beginning to fire into the car.
How is he catching niggas like this, bro? Are niggas running around with no tents? Cause let's be for real, bro. How are you catching niggas in traffic? You dead gotta be looking in a nigga car. You got a whole head turned into a nigga vehicle to see somebody. Niggas riding in fish bowls, let me find out.
According to reports by Chicago police, the shooter was Tay Savage. Neef would then attempt to escape the situation by putting his car in reverse, but this would cause him to crash into another vehicle. Meanwhile, Tay would allegedly keep shooting into the car, hitting Neef several times, and then fleeing the scene with his getaway driver before the police and paramedics arrived. Unfortunately, Neef was already in serious condition and would be pronounced dead in the hospital soon after. This was the second shooting on the same block within 2 weeks, and one of over a dozen shootings that took place in Chicago over that weekend, leaving some of the locals afraid to leave their homes and fearful of what was to come next, while the police were likely already connecting the dots behind the scenes with regards to the killing of Neef. For the time being, there was once again no arrests, despite the shooting taking place in front of numerous witnesses. But both the driver and the shooter on the hit were both wearing ski masks that covered their faces. Again, members of the AV and other friends of Neef would react to his death on their social media, seemingly unable to believe that Neef had been taken out so soon after the killing of Cess. Known for riding together and now known for dying together, the loss of Cess and Neef, so close to each other, cemented these two as legends in their hood. And as Neef was laid to rest, the AV adopted the moniker CWNS, meaning Cess World, Neef Streets. Meanwhile, after Neef's death, members of Welch World were also posting, one of them saying how it was time for them to get off the bench and play ball, with another member who would say that they would foul the whole team, to which another member would reply, "Yep, every last one." This seemed to suggest that Welch World's hitters weren't even done with their revenge campaign, even after killing two prominent hitters from the other side and avenging their friend Welch, who the gang had...
Bro, at what point do you just hang it up? At what point do you just realize, you know what, bro? This gangbanging shit ain't it, cause we is dropping like flies out here. At what point, like, do it click like, bro, I'm finna get got in about 2 weeks. I ain't trying to get got, so I'm gonna hang it up type shit. You feel me?
Now been named after. They were keen to keep disrespecting their ops and stoking the beef. However, while Welch World was feeling boisterous after allegedly taking out the people who had killed their most loved member, their other enemies were also getting active. According to tweets by Welch World affiliates, about a week after the death of Neef, Tay would be arrested due to being suspected of numerous gun-related incidents, including the murders of Cess and Neef. However, it seemed that the police simply didn't have enough evidence to charge him for those murders at the time, and instead he would be charged with 2 attempted murders in relation to the other incidents, leading him to eventually beating those charges, instead receiving an 18-month sentence for aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. This would take him off the streets right when the war in the low end was getting scorching hot.
I had 2 attempts. I beat them in 2012.
Following Tay's arrest, Welch World members would post
2 attempts, beat them. 2 murders, beat them. They can't win. The law is stealing.
To social media saying free him and paying respects, posting photos of Tay in jail, and even creating free Tay shirts. Unfortunately, while Tay was incarcerated, the already hot war in Welch World would get even hotter and even more complicated, as rivalries with numerous local gangs would intensify and affiliates would soon begin fighting amongst themselves.
Hey, we're gonna end it off right here. We damn near about an hour in. Part 2 might drop tomorrow. If y'all fucking with it, let me know. I'm out.